asset? Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. Hello, Disco fam. Every day on this channel, we teach you how to make money with crypto and digital assets. And I'm joined here on a very special day as Bitcoin is surging to new all-time highs. It's peeling back a little bit, but we're going to talk about the next moves for Bitcoin and which altcoins need to be on your radar. TJ, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. Everybody in the office is pumped up. Everybody in the Discord's making crazy money. And that, to me, is always what gets me the most excited. When I see the Disco fam and the Disco community making bank, I'm seeing people posting many thousands of dollars. Everybody was in there last night. Josh was shorting it. People were longing it as it went long. Late last night, Drew was in there till 2 or 3 in the morning.
I got a live video of them late last night.
All right.
This is them late last night, everybody. So if you're wondering.
Yeah, that was all of us. We can't believe we're back to break even on our altcoins. It's been a journey.
Feels good. Feels good. Shout out to Jesse.
Yeah, one of the best great characters, great actor.
I met some people, not to lose too much focus here, but I met some people last night. We have some guests staying in town. They're here for a WWE event that was in, I think it was Mercedes State Farm Arena last night, and they had not watched Breaking Bad yet. And we were just like, literally stop everything and just go watch Breaking Bad. That's the best show ever.
Yeah,
and I'm saying it.
I can't believe, not watching that. I mean, that's one of the good ones. But yeah, loving it. Great news. Obviously, Bitcoin hitting all-time highs, highest weekly close of all time, highest daily, candlesticks it's ever had. Anybody shorting Bitcoin getting wrecked. Love to see that. And that's what we're
losing
seeing.
$100 million in some cases.
Yeah. So, like I said, great time to be here. It's almost like we told you summer was going to be fun, and you're going to be really happy by Christmas.
And Josh called in sick the second it turned 120.
Yeah, no,
I saw a group chat. It was like, oh, my tummy hurts. I had saltine crackers with the salt still on, and then it was right when it hit 120.
He'll be on. He'll probably be on later today doing some trades and stuff this afternoon. But yeah, everybody, if you haven't started to update those price predictions yet, I don't need to yet because I'm still in that 200K camp. But yeah, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, Bitcoin today saying I am the one who knocks. Let's see. The Bears, was it Salamanca or they're just tapping the bell on their wheelchair because why they got hospitalized this weekend, folks. Let's look at Bitcoin and crypto in general here. Bitcoin now still up on the 24-hour chart. You can see it's up 1.9%, but you could also see it is peeling back from the highs it made about 3:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So around midnight if you're in the Pacific, if you're in California, and is pulled back. That's wild. It's a 1 point something percent, but then it's over $2,000 has pulled back. We're in these ranges now, and Bitcoin just trying to find a little bit of a local bottom before it starts moving to the upside. We are going to talk about the CME Gap that opened this morning. We're going to do a little TA as well. Let's get back to the rest of the altcoins here. XRP up 4.4%. So we like seeing that. Cardano actually down a little bit after going on a huge rip earlier. It was the biggest gainer. You can see up 27%, beating all the peers except for XRP. So maybe XRP is going to be a major mover in 2025. And if we look, SWE and ALGO are way up today. And TJ, it looks like XLM fell out of vogue. XLM was one of the top gamers. Let's hit refresh here.
Yeah, XLM had its big move over the weekend. I want to say Saturday, I think it was, or it went up 25-30% on Saturday.
Yeah, we go to the 7-day. Look at that right there.
Yeah, 80% this week. And Hbar, a lot of the Hbar's right there. There you go. A lot of the somebody Mason said, and I like this category. He's like, oh, the government bootlicker coins are all doing well this weekend. And it's like, I kind of like that category.
Should we do a video on XLM and Hbar? Do we actually have barbarians in the chat? Do we have, what's the XLM community call themselves? Stellarians?
Yeah, I don't know.
Stellarnuts?
Yeah, but yeah, let us know. If you guys want to see an XLM Hbar update, let us know. This Algorand also did pump. I did see Tether cut off support for
this
Algo.
guy's name.
Oh yeah, there you go. Hbar Dano, and he's a member, so we got to do it just for him. Yeah, Algo. I saw Tether no longer offering support for Algo and not going to be on
Yeah, we got the other altcoins. Let's bury the lead there. Yeah, Algo and a handful of other L1s. No more Tether.
That's not good if you're
It's almost
part
a
of that
death
chain.
blow in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Now it did pump afterwards, so this is crypto. It doesn't have to make sense.
Well, if you short with too much leverage, guess what? You're going to get BTFO'd, everybody. Now, SWE is up on the 24 Algo XDC Uniswap Mantle Crow. I actually looked at my Crow account. I have some ETH on there. It's just been sitting there forever. I'm like, I might actually start looking at my Crow account. Now, if we look at the losers, a lot of this is coins that are up over the past month, over the past 7 days. Pengu, though, the largest dumper today, is lost almost 10%. Sonic is down.
Yeah, but pull that chart up. It was just straight vertical the last.
Yeah, has it hit an all-time high? No, not yet.
No,
not yet.
It's still not, but it's just the last. Go to like a 1 month just to see how stupid it looks.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah,
I still don't
under a penny.
I still don't get it. I'll be honest. It's definitely got a brand. Yeah, supposedly they're getting an ETF.
People like penguins, TJ.
Yeah,
They mate for life.
I have a little bit. We got a bunch in the airdrop. Never sold the airdrop, but I just don't. I'm not putting money into it. I don't really get it, but that's why I'm excited, because this is the part of the cycle where things that maybe don't necessarily have any and I'm not saying this about Pengu, but we're in the part of the cycle where stupid things pump for stupid reasons and you get called stupid for not buying them. And that's the part of the cycle we're in. And that's when it's
why do you hate
fun.
Ostriches and penguins?
I don't hate
wants to know. And dodos, I guess.
I love ostriches. They're kind of dicks. Penguins, they're kind of cool. But
yeah, ostriches are actually scary when you stand close to them, because it looks like they could just pluck your eye out. Very, very easy.
Yes, I did know Van Eck has it for their profile picture, and they push it very hard. That's what I'm saying. Like, and if that's your fundamental thesis for investing in
Coinbase PFP,
that's fine. I just I don't. It'll probably pump super hard. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. It'll probably run to stupid levels. And that's great. I'm here for it.
Stupid, is 300K Bitcoin stupid? Chat, yes or no. Is a 300K this cycle, let's just say the next 9 months, is that a stupid prediction?
It depends on how you define stupid, I guess. Like, stupid good, or but I think it's
stupid is as stupid does.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's achievable, in my opinion. I think it's definitely on the high side. It's definitely optimistic, but I think we are really experiencing true FOMO from some of the wealthiest people in the world. I mean, I'm seeing it time and time again. People that are responsible for that sort of thing talking about family offices putting big money into it, and they're all getting FOMO right now. They don't have any, and they're interested. So what we're seeing with these candles and how fast Bitcoin can go from 110 to 120, it can just as quickly go from it. Basically, I think we're going to 150 in short order. There's a lot of things on the technical. You probably have some of it pulled up that show, 150. There's people calling for that this month or next month. So yeah, 300K is definitely on the high side, but within reason.
All right, 225. We got Steve-O, bearish on Cardano, but he ain't bearish on Bitcoin. 300K, not a stupid amount. Well, let's talk about 300K by Christmas. Everybody, are you ready for some jingle bells? Bitcoin Christmas rally to 200 or 300K possible based on the power law models. Let's go over this power law model real quick. And Bitcoin is ahead of its long-term power law curve, historically leading to euphoric price highs in previous cycles. Let's just scroll down. So if you zoom in a little bit, you can see, it has a projection above. So you move forward a year, it's going to be around this line. You move forward 2 years, it's going to be around this faint gray line. And right now we are ahead of where we're supposed to be, quote unquote, the fair value, which is the bottom line on this power law. So we are years ahead of where we should be price-wise. That's what the thesis is saying here. And so we're ahead of its power law curve, historically leading to new highs, like we said. And Bitcoin is now up 10% in July, reaching new highs, 122. And this could just be the beginning of a parabolic rally. Now, this analyst, he's anonymous, APSK32. He said Bitcoin could be worth as much as $258,000 if history repeats itself. And so looking at the long-term power curve trend line is the mathematical model reflecting Bitcoin's exponential growth over time. It measures price deviation from the trend line, not just in dollar terms, but in units of time. And that's what those gray semi-translucent lines, these are essentially units of time, where it's going to be different units of time ahead of time. This is an approach known as the power law time contours. All right. And so when you look at the contours, you can see, all right, we are well ahead, but nowhere near where we've been previous cycles. You can see we're, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contours ahead, 4.5 contours ahead. And right now we're barely about 2 of those gray lines ahead. So we still got room ahead of us. So he said we're slightly more than 2 years ahead of the power curve, meaning if the price stayed flat, it would take over 2 years for that trend line to hit, for it to hit where we're currently at. Now, the extreme greed zone is 112 to 258. We see this greed zone 2013, 2017, and 2021. If this trend line continues, Bitcoin will be between 200 and 300K by Christmas before the bullish momentum begins to fade at the start of 2026. Now, what are your thoughts of, hearing that breakdown? Do you feel more likely that, maybe 200 by Christmas?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I really do. I think I've been following this Giovanni power law. He kind of popularized it a lot back in 2022, 23. We've been following this for a long time. I know Johnny used to talk about it a lot
every day.
And at first they, the numbers they sounded a little crazy back then. We're talking 200-300K back at when we were sitting around 20 to 40K, I guess. It was very low numbers, but we've been tracking with it very, very closely. And that's the thing with models is all models break eventually. But when they're working, you need to take advantage of them and follow them while they do. So when I see confluence between things like power law and things like the 4-year cycle and the debt cycle and the macro cycle and the trade cycle, it's just all of those things come together for me to say, yeah, I've never been more bullish about Bitcoin. I've never felt stronger that it's going to be slightly different this time. I do think we'll see some pullbacks, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as dramatic as we've seen in the past. We've got scheduled buying going. I'm really starting to debate Michael Saylor saying crypto winter is over now. We won't experience winters like we have in the past. Laura Shin out there, $1 million Bitcoin 2027, which probably means we're not pulling, in order for that to happen, we can't have a significant or bear market in 2026. So yeah, I think I'd be willing. I'm going to have a pretty decent chunk of money later this year. And I do think we're going to be obviously still at all-time highs, but I am going to follow the Michael Saylor strategy and still top blast it and hold it. And, I'm just in a accumulate Bitcoin forever mode and try not to ever sell. So.
And here's what that would look like. I'll do a quick breakdown. 2014 cycle, we fell 87%, really closer to 90%. So we fell about 90% 3 cycles ago. 2 cycles ago, we fell 83%. All right. Well, what about last cycle? Last cycle, we fell. Now, this is, on a log chart, really zoomed out. So I'm, might be off a little bit, about 75%. And so this would look like, maybe less than a 50% drawdown. Do you think we can? Do you think that's achievable? Will Bitcoin fall less than 50% this cycle?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too, but people said that last cycle. That's the only thing maybe making me hesitant.
A lot of it, I will say this, a lot of it depends on how high it goes. So if we go to 200K, can it pull back to 100K? Less likely. If we go to 300K, can it pull back to 150? Extremely likely. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say so. Now, one last thing I do want to share on this chart. I'm going to go back to gold. We're going to circle around. We're going to do the weave. Now, that chart we're looking at, the deviations below, greed zone was like 4. Here's a little bit cleaner way to look at it. It's the biggest I can make it. I think if I zoom in too much, we lose it. And so you can see here, a lot of room to go before we get into these quote unquote greedy zones. But when you're at gold, we're kind of in bear market territory. There's a lot of room to grow for Bitcoin priced in gold. Like I said, we're going to circle back on that. Now, Caleb Franzen, you maybe saw the Fibonacci extension. Caleb Franzen pulling out the old fib levels, $138,000 Bitcoin right below 139. I wanted to test that myself. He's basically using the swing high from January down to the swing low. This is where we fell in April, when we hit about 75K. And if you look at that, sure enough, we have a nice technical target. Mine came in a little bit different. I guess I need to lower this one. I'm above the wick there. But yeah, we're coming in $130,000 Bitcoin, folks. And this is like a near-term target. I was just curious, what are some of those other fib levels looking like? Now, these are some cycle, potential cycle levels we could hit. 166,000. That's the 2618. The 3618. 200,000, almost even, about 200,000 even. And then the 4236, $222,000 Bitcoin. So Bitcoin can definitely hit above 200K this year, not even this cycle. Now, it did just do a giant metric. You saw who it just flipped?
Yeah.
You want, well,
Amazon.
That's right. But what about the next ones on the list? This is the list we're talking about. It's top assets by market cap. We just beat Amazon. Amazon and silver. Now, silver 2.2 trillion, Amazon 2.4 trillion. Now, Bitcoin a little above 2.4. Next one, Apple 3.1, Microsoft 3.7, Nvidia just under 4, was 4 last week. And then gold. Look at gold. Now $22 trillion. Seems like it was just in the teens just yesterday there. And so if it hits those levels, $1.15 million Bitcoin if it flips gold, 200K for Nvidia, 188 Microsoft, 159 for Apple. What is, let's just say when Bitcoin, I'm saying when, not if, when Bitcoin hits $1 million a coin, right now gold's around 4,000 an ounce. What's gold then? That's a 10x for Bitcoin. That'd be,
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, all 10X. Of those, because all of those things will go up too. Nvidia will go up, Apple, all of them will go up as we print more dollars. I don't know. It's a good question. Gold
10K an ounce. The psychological level is going to be hard to break through.
Yeah, it's sitting at what right now?
Gold. That's a good question.
Close
so
to 3.
XAU. If you're trying to find it on Trading View here, you can go to all gold XAU USD. We have swung down from that 3,500 range. I don't know why I said 4. Right now, 33.55.
Yeah, I thought it was in the 3s. Yeah, so it's basically a 3x basically for gold to get to $10,000.
The Bitcoin probably does a 10x. Gold does a 3x. I kind of like that.
In the next 6 months?
No, $1 million coins. That'd be next 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, then definitely 100%.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. You heard it here first. Trade your gold for Bitcoin. Actually, be diversified. You don't want to do all that. All right. Let's look at speaking of gold.
Well, I was just gonna say and are you shifting away from metals, or are you gonna do something? I was gonna mention something about silver.
Now there
just
are
for my metals people.
Sell Bitcoin at the top of the cycle and buy silver.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
About the ratio of silver to gold for. I mean, I've been talking about it for years on this channel. It is going to catch up to gold. That's my prediction.
Well, and there's like a decade head and shoulders on silver right now.
There's a cup and handle maybe.
That's what I'm sorry, cup and handle. You're right. That's just looking. Basically, silver's looking like it's ready to send. On a generational level that's been suppressed for years and years and years. I'm not selling my Bitcoin for silver, but I just kind of wanted to give that nod because I know there's a lot of people that have been pro silver for a long time and loud about JP Morgan's manipulation of it and suppression of it, and it looks like that's getting ready to break out in a major way. Real quick, Raphael, I have 80K invested. I have 80K to invest. Have around 23K in crypto right now. Main holdings: XRP, Link, Ondo, Pengu, ADA. What should I drop 80K into? And is it too late for a big move? Definitely not too late for a big move. To me, I would want some Bitcoin if I were you. It doesn't look like you have any Bitcoin. You have a pretty fair amount to be able to get close to a whole Bitcoin. I don't see any ETH in there. So if you want major guarantees, you can get those. Obviously, we also like Arrow very well. Morpho's done very well. There's all sorts of different altcoins that we cover on this channel. But I like what you got so far. You should do fine.
Yeah, looking at silver here, I mean, you can see, going way back. There's first manipulation. This was the Lehman Brothers way back in the day there. So it's about $50 an ounce, then later hit $50 an ounce. My favorite story about Bitcoin and crypto, my buddy was using Silk Road and was trying to convince me to buy Bitcoin as I tried to convince him to buy silver. I'm fairly certain it was during this dead cat bounce. So it was the tail end of 2011. Might have been this range. I have to go check, maybe some prices there, or look at some spot buys. But yeah, no. Forget that fake internet money. Buy silver. People are going to use it. Now that cup and handle though, I mean, we're looking at some major movement here. We'll just say it, break out from a broken trend line there. You're looking at silver, $70 an ounce there. I mean, silver might be trading I would say $100 an ounce by the end of the decade. So I know this is going to be too slow for most people.
Yeah.
But back to gold here. Bitcoin is close to 2x 2021 peak in US dollar terms. But the real party is when it breaks a new all-time high versus gold. And right now we are almost there. I pulled up this chart. So this is Bitcoin priced in gold, and essentially on the number on the right, number of ounces you could buy per Bitcoin. If first started out, you couldn't even get an ounce of gold for 1 Bitcoin. But if you look right now, yeah, we are, potentially about to break out. You can see we got a little bit. Bitcoin was cheaper here. This is right when gold was pumping. This is the end of December. If this breaks out, yeah, start looking for Bitcoin to be priced. This is definitely going up only over time. I think, maybe 50 years from now, it starts to even out there. Let me think about that. Can Bitcoin appreciate against gold for 50 years? Or is that too long? Is this going to be more like 20 years?
Can gold what?
How long can Bitcoin appreciate against gold? Can it do it for 50 years, or does it need to maybe reach some sort of parity? Like, is there enough adoption 20 years from now?
No, I think you can do it for 50 years. Yeah, I think so. Because if you think about it, I mean, what Bitcoin will be harder to acquire in 50 years, and arguably gold could be easier.
Yeah.
When you talk about mining technologies and what they're doing in space and all that sort of stuff, it's getting easier
in the ocean.
Yeah, it's getting easier and easier to get gold out of the universe, and harder to get Bitcoin. So yeah, I think Bitcoin stays on the trend.
All right, maybe that's one of the first things Grok does is figure out how to get gold out of the ocean, because people have been trying that for decades. Now, also Bitcoin has, we price it in USD, we price it in gold. What about pricing it in the euro? We're still not even at all-time highs. The true fun starts when Bitcoin hits new all-time high in euro terms. That is when global price discovery begins, because we still got a few currencies catching up. Just our dollar, we're just losing a lot more value of the US dollar over here in good old America. So congrats Europeans on your Euro bucks, I guess, being a little bit better. The surveillance bucks are where it's at. Now, speaking of global cash, what is the good metric to measure all the cash in the system, TJ?
You talking about M2?
M2.
Yeah.
M2. When's the last time we checked the M2 chart?
It's been a couple weeks.
Are we going higher? Are we capping out? Let's see here. Bitcoin almost completely caught up again. Global liquidity leads. Bitcoin will then follow. Now it's gotten us going all the way to 150K. We are seeing a little bit of decline in the M2 money supply, but we saw it right there. Ended up ripping higher. We saw it right here. Ended up ripping higher. Saw it right here. Ended up ripping higher. And the current M2, this is all the money in the global system. This current global money system dip, to me, just looks a lot like this dip right here. Maybe it's going to be a larger term dip, but I'm seeing a lot of smart people saying this expansion of money supply, it's like at least 6, 12, maybe even 18 months. This is going to percolate through the system.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We still got a lot of room to go for Bitcoin.
Well, I mean, again, I keep coming back to the big, beautiful bill, trillions of dollars, and the fact that they're saying they're going to pass 3 more spending bills in the next year. Those spending bills will send that M2 money supply absolutely parabolic. And the fact that they're talking about trillions.
Trillions. They raised the debt ceiling. We're going to talk about that in a second.
That number gets lost on so many people because it's so large, like the concept of how much a trillion is. But 5 trillion in one bill, and that's only enough for 6 months, and then they're gonna have multi-trillions in 2 or 3 more. That number, that M2 chart's going off the screen, and that's part of why Bitcoin could hit some of these 300K, some of these crazy kind of numbers in short order, because they're just printing. They're printing as much now as they were doing back in COVID. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
Why do you think they are printing so much? And I'm going to look up a trillion seconds.
Why are they printing so much? Because they have no choice. If they don't print, they go bankrupt. I mean, that's basically the whole world is a giant Ponzi, and people are calling that bluff. And so you have to print more and more and more. No matter who you are, China, US, Japan, Europe, they're in a position now where they can't finance their debt. They're spending more than they're making, and so you have to print more. It's like if you were a household income and you had a credit card and it was expensive and you couldn't make your payments, but you had the option to just go make more money at your house and turn around and pay your credit card, you would do it, and then you would pay it off and you'd be like, oh, hey, see, everything's great, economy's going up, woohoo. But in reality, you're just printing an insane amount of money. So if you don't hold assets, if you're an individual that doesn't hold Bitcoin, that doesn't hold real estate, that doesn't hold stock, you're getting poor fast. If you do hold real estate, if you do hold Bitcoin, if you do hold stocks, you're making money fast. And that's that's the unfortunate reality that we're in, and that's why they'll always do it. They'll print all this money. They'll be able to come out and say, "Hey, the economy's booming. Look at Trump. Look, S&P,
Assets are up.
yeah,
Everything's
S&P
surging.
500 all-time high.
Your home's more valuable.
They're working." And it's just like, no, you just printed an insane amount of money like they always do, which is why I've always said on the political stuff, like, it doesn't matter who wins. They will always do the same thing. They will always print more money. They will always devalue the currency. They will always take from the citizens. And if you don't opt out into a different system, you just get boiled in the pot like the frog. You die slowly. If you do opt out of the system and buy Bitcoin, it can change your life for the rest of time. And this is why I'm so frustrated when I see people thinking, oh, Bitcoin's going to save us, or I'm sorry, the president's going to save us, or anything other than Bitcoin. It's just, they do the same thing over and over. All you have to do is study history. All you have to do is zoom out a little bit. It's never changed. Nobody ever stops. The government never shrinks. It always grows. And so if you play their game the way that they want you to play it, you're going to lose. If you opt out of their game, there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah, I always say two choices: tax the hell out of your citizens, or just secretly print a bunch of money in the dark room in the back. They always, literally always do that. Always. Just kind of makes sense. Now, million, billion, trillion seconds, just kind of wrap your head around how much, raising the debt ceiling by 5 trillion actually means. A million seconds, some of y'all probably seen this before, it's like a week and a half. It's 11 days. That's how long a million seconds is. A billion seconds, well, now you're talking about 31 years, roughly a human generation. What about a trillion seconds? A trillion seconds? We're looking at 31,000 years. It takes you to the Ice Age.
Yeah.
And so we are raising the debt by trillions, not billions, and not my millions. Although, to be fair, it does look like the government had a surplus in June. Did you see that?
I did see that, and I looked into that. That's actually not all that uncommon. It has to do with
outlying months.
Yes, it's a calendar thing. It's when they collect a bunch of taxes.
I was wondering the same thing. I was like, isn't there a quarterly spikes or annual spike around April, May, or January?
Exactly. When income taxes get paid. Yeah, there's a spike, obviously. So you go back and look throughout history, they typically will post 1 to 2 months of a surplus every year and then 10 months negative. So it's just but it's very good talking points. It's very good political. It's very good way to come out, and that most people don't know that. Most people don't take that second step and they go, oh, look, the tariffs are working. And it's just a bunch of
second Vietnam, you're paying our tariffs. Yeah, okay. All right, that makes a lot of sense. All right, let's keep talking about some targets real quick. I just want to, and then we'll talk about some altcoins. How high can Bitcoin go? What are we looking at here? Are we looking at 130? Are we looking at 200? So let's dive in real quick here. So confirm technical breakout targets. 130 to 150K for Bitcoin is next. And they're looking at the bull flag pennant. Now, I looked at the pennant. The pennant is coming in from this range right here. And so looking at that, boom, you do it from the breakout. We got 130,000 Bitcoin there. And now eyes at by August. So 130 by August. Also, we have the MVRV ratio, the market value, realized value. Kind of just looking at the average cost for holders. Also pointing to new levels. It does the same thing a lot, or at least this cycle. They've been taking profits around this 2.75 range. They did it at 2.93, started to see a pullback, 2.77, started to see a pullback. That's where we had a long consolidation. And they just did it at 2.73. That was after the January pump. And so if you look at the MVRV, we are still very low, suggesting, a lot of room to the upside before the big whales start taking profits. Historically, now this is just on-chain analytics, and we're just kind of looking at history to make a future determination of where Bitcoin's going. It's not, saying this is happening for sure, but typically they wait until the MVRV hits 2.75. It's an early inflection point where the long-term holders begin to take profits. Now, according to Adler, the current level for this 275, $130,000 Bitcoin, really closer to 131. We also have that cup and handle. Now looking at 150, we are seeing the breakout there. So good job if you're trading that handle breakout for Bitcoin. All right, go ahead.
Super chat here from Tony. Can Shiba Inu make all-time highs?
Now, I've given my SHIB thesis here quite a few times. I can repeat it. Essentially, if you ask me the month before Pepe, I would be like, oh yeah, it's going to be a big runner this cycle. For sure going to be a big runner. But then I feel like Pepe came and took a lot of the win out of its sales there. It's just, kind of a fun meme coin that's not Doge. So I think a lot of those people gravitated toward Pepe. And then I was like, all right, well, maybe it's still kind of popular. Then Trump came out. And so now like 50% of the Pepe or the Shiba holders now might be just looking at Trump. Looking at this, though, I mean, it does have a pretty strong technical target. This is just kind of measuring the peaks here. This is on a regular chart, not any kind of moon math. I don't think you're going to pass this previous all-time high. I know they burnt trillions of tokens, quadrillions, maybe even. You don't know how many tokens they burnt, DZ. That really doesn't affect this metric to me all that much. And if you sell there, you're still looking at very, very good gains. But I would be looking to exit around, the 76% pump there. I have traded my SHIB. I traded into two things. Traded it into Peanut. And I turned that into a lot of Solana. I had a little bit left because I only did half my Shiba bag. I turned it all into Fart Coin.
Nice.
During the Fart dip. So I think Fart Coin's just gonna take more mind share, unfortunately.
That's the perfect lesson right there. I'm glad you said that, because you took your meme coin bag that was the hot one from 2021 and you rolled it into two other ones that were much more recently hot. Both.
And I sold Peanut too. Like you sell into the attention,
and you can't. Meme coins generally speaking are not a buy and hold with serious conviction kind of thing. Murad, obviously that's his big thesis. He's done well on some of those coins. And if you've got enough and you can just set it and forget it, be my guest. I'm sure people are doing that with some of those meme coins. But the way DZ just described it, rotating into Fart Coin, rotating into other things while you have some profits is much better. Activity within meme coins gives you a higher chance to hit something. Now, you don't want to overtrade with majors and altcoins because you're more than likely going to trade yourself out of gains. But with meme coins, it's kind of a totally different approach that you have to take with it. And you need to be jumping in and out to these things that are within the mind share, as he said, pretty quickly, which is part of why I don't really do it too much, because I don't have the time to focus on that kind of thing. I'm more focused on more of the macro stuff. But generally speaking, you don't do as well buying and sitting on it forever. So I do think SHIB will have its run, kind of like you just said. They'll have some pumps, it'll have some moments. But if you're holding from if you're holding it from previous all-time high, don't hope you're getting back to that. You're better off making those gains by rolling into other things that are going to run.
Someone asking about Little Pepe. If the pre-sale's going on still, that's
but we don't want
sign.
Yeah, we're not gonna pump those kind of pre-sales, guys. And I'll just let you know, with super chats, don't come in and super chat a low cap pre-sale, because the odds are very high on us that it could be predatory, and we're not going to pull it up on the stream. So if you do super chat that, just know we're not. I
sold all my pre-sale. No, I didn't get any pre-sale. All right, let's talk about why is Bitcoin rallying. So we know all this technical stuff. All right, well, TA, show me the TA. That's where the news came from. What about the news here? Well, Bitcoin rallying on the deficit concerns, not on the hype here. And so, but this is from Marcus Thielen from 10X. This rally isn't driven by hype. It's fueled by something far deeper. And he talks about, just the narrative of Donald Trump's, as TJ was saying, one big, beautiful bill act. It passed in July and it raised the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. This is the largest single increase in U.S. history. When deficit spending shows no signs of slowing and monetary policy turns more accommodative through projected rate cuts, Bitcoin is positioned as the ultimate beneficiary of this macro environment. This isn't just another crypto rally. It's a direct response to a U.S. fiscal landscape unraveling far quicker than expected. Alongside gold, Bitcoin is now positioned as the primary defense against looming fiscal crisis. And that crisis rapidly intensifying. Yeah, the devaluation of our dollar does seem like it's pretty rapid here. Now, keep going. We got more stuff in this week. I'm going to do a short little breakdown here. So this is crypto week, according to Washington, D.C. So maybe this is why we pumped on Sunday night. What do we have going on? The Clarity Act, Regulatory Insight, Genius Act for stablecoins, and the Anti-CBD Surveillance State Act. Also, Trump's Digital Asset Task Force is releasing a crypto report July 22nd. So we got a lot of big things over the next week here. But Marty Party, great breakdown. Just real quick on the three and a couple other things. Clarity, bipartisan bill, which is important. So this increases the odds it's going to get passed, and it's defining SEC and CFTC. The Genius Act mandates stable issuers have one-to-one cash reserves with U.S. debt. Also, anti-CBD Act, driven by conservatives. So this one, maybe a little bit more wishy-washy and on is going to pass. But tomorrow, Chinese GDP, CPI report. Wednesday, PPI always comes out the day later. And then Thursday, we got some job claims and Philadelphia index and Fed balance sheet. So buckle up, folks. Buckle up. Turn on those notifications. Make sure you're watching the videos, the uploads, and just make sure you're tuning in on the morning stream. We bring you this alpha 7 days a week. Morning show we do Monday through Friday, everybody. Now,
also smash the like button if you're here right now. Smash the like for those gains. We got a couple thousand people in here, 200 likes. We should be, we can get 1,000 likes today, no problem. If you're not hitting the like button on a day when everything's green, you're in the wrong space. Sorry.
Yeah, tape your mouse to the wall, grab your Arculus, and then just throw it against the wall. Make sure you hit that button right there on the left side, and boom, smash that like button.
Speaking of Arculus, if you guys haven't gotten one yet, you're about to make generational wealth. You're about to change your life forever. You need to be able to secure that in a very safe way. You don't want to get rugged. We saw way too much of that happen at the top in 2021. So without further, if I can't find the button. We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.
All right, let's talk about that CME gap, everybody, because we pumped so hard. The open for Monday was higher than the close on Friday. When it's vice versa, or that scenario, you get what they call a CME gap. Doesn't close every time, but it closed a lot of times. So New York opened with the CME gap at $117,000. It's about a 3.5% drop. Does not have to fill, but it's worth keeping an eye on today. If we do get the gap fill, solid opportunity for a cheeky long. I too will be looking to, maybe some liquidation events, look at some liquidation levels below 117. And then to me, that'd be a great entry point there. And maybe do a small entry around 117. So that's to keep an eye out on for the week. So I want to give you some bearish news as well. Also, Bhutan, they're pumping up their sales, not their accumulation. In the past 4 days, they sold 500 Bitcoin, almost $60 million, but they still have 11,000 Bitcoin, 1.4 billion. I don't think they pulled Germany and sell their entire bag. No,
I remember they're mining all of this stuff, so it makes sense for them to sell some to cover their cost.
Now, what are the odds they're buying more mining equipment?
Could be. That's what I'm saying. They could be scaling up their operation. CZ is involved over there. They've got extremely efficient and cheap hydropower, which is how they've mined most of that stuff. So, or that could be like they take profit there, and that pays for like their last 10 years of mining or their next 10 years of mining.
I love the idea of, they're selling $60 million worth of Bitcoin to go get $60 million worth of ant miners or Bitcoin mining equipment.
Yeah, I like it.
Very, very bullish scenario if that's the case there. All right, now let's banter. I need to parse through the noise here. He's saying retail's not here, or no, what are you talking about? They're back now. It's doubled in the past 9 days. Are they back? Is retail coming back? Banter. Let's do the deep dive, man. You're about to get deezied. What actually is happening? Retail ain't here.
Yeah.
Retail is not here. What we're looking at here is the past 12 months when Trump was elected. This week right here, huge surge. And then, he anointed David Sachs as like the AI and crypto czar. Bitcoin started pumping to new all-time highs. Altcoins started flying. We had more retail interest then. And then we had the nice little pump in January, followed by a dump. This might be the dump Google search, like, oh my God, I have this altcoin. Why are things dumping? Everyone's talking about it. And so this was, peak mind share the last 12 months. This hit 100. Right now, we're only at 53. Now, if you zoom in, man, it looks great. It looks great. Woo, man, look at that. Woo, everybody's paying attention to crypto. I just wanted to zoom out, give you a little bit of just some cold water on the hopium. Let's go to 5 years, though. That's when things really get in perspective.
Well, yeah. Well, to me, that's actually exciting. That's not cold water. That's great. Saying we're
cold water on this metric, which is hot water for Bitcoin's price.
Exactly. Like if we're this frothy and retail isn't even started. And I do agree with what you showed earlier with the Euro all-time high. Like once it hits a global all-time high, the news cycle will go crazy. Thanks, Corey. is DZ this funny all the time, or is it just in stream? No, he's pretty funny all the time. DZ's got jokes.
Josh is writing me jokes as we go live right now. So if you see me looking down, he's like, "Say this zinger," and so I've just been dropping zingers from
DZ's
him.
always
What's the deal with airplanes?
DZ came with the humor. He's always had it. Always been quick witted and hard to find.
A lot of reps going live. Some of you may not know, newer viewers. If you are a new viewer, make sure you hit the follow button because we're doing this all the time, folks. But I did a lot of streaming 7 days a week. I was a Twitch streamer. I was a professional Magic the Gathering player. So I was a grinder. I'd stream 30 out of 31 days in a month, sometimes every day in a month. So I rarely took time off. So I was just streaming a children's cardboard game.
And you said you were on Grinder?
I was grinding it hard. But by it, I mean life. That's all I'm just going to say, life. All right, let's talk about alts. So this is almost misleading by Rec Capital because it's not the alts chart.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's the others, which is, maybe try to gatekeep your information. I'm sharing it with you, folks. If you go to TradingView and type in others, you're going to see crypto total market cap excluding top 10, and then they have the .D. That's going to be the dominance there. And so he's just search alts. It doesn't give you that. It gives you like everything except the top 2. But altcoin market cap, that's why he said it, I know, has recently broken a multi-month downtrend. In doing so, altcoin market cap rejection from 425 billion is confirmed to have been much shallower compared to previous corrections. What is he talking about? He's talking about a peak, correction, a blast off. So let's kind of measure what we're looking at here. So let's look at last cycle. And so you can see this is what he's talking about, the $425 billion. This is all the coins outside of the top 10. What kind of correction did we get last cycle? And so this was, your alts. Woo, they were flying, man. This is January 21, February 21, March 21. Great time to hold altcoins. But then there was the altcoin reckoning. Sounds like a movie. It fell about 60 some odd percent, fell about 69%. Some said that was nice if you were holding Bitcoin. If you weren't, it stung, man. It stung the nostrils.
It's just crazy that it's 69. That's crypto.
It is. So it fell 60 some odd percent. And then it blasted off. How much did it pump? Because we might be logged here. Yeah, we're logged out. We're logarithmic chart here. It then pumped nearly 300%. That's a 4x. All right. So your altcoins basically did a 4x, everything outside of the top 10. Well, what did we just see? Remember, 69% drawdown, 60 some odd percent drawdown. Well, you look at that 61%, 60% drawdown. So we got a very, very similar drawdown. Then what about the pump? Now, I'll measure this one too, just to be fair. That right around 60%. But the pumps, this pump was 200%. And so maybe even this one only goes 200%. You're looking at all-time highs for the others charts. And I think once we get all-time highs, that's when I think we start getting a little price discovery. That's when I think altcoins start going on a run. That's when you need to start paying attention, folks. So buckle up.
That's when everybody goes out and starts shopping for a new house, new car, new boat. All the altcoins that we bought at crazy low levels are going straight vertical.
Or moon math, people will come out and be like, oh, XRP, $100. And there's going to be people who are going to believe that. There's going to be people who think Shiba Inu is going to a penny. There's people who think Doge is going to go to $10. It's not going to happen.
Those people are in our chat right now. They were saying it earlier in the show.
XRP is not going to 100. Now, this is kind of sad. I live in
maybe 10.
I live in a small suburb of Atlanta, right? It's a smaller town. So my bank it's a small bank. It's like literally one office. There's like one bozo in there as the manager. He's like, yeah, but this is what it's worth if Shiba goes to a penny. When I was trying to tell him to buy Bitcoin, this was a while ago. It was like about a year ago.
I hate that math. It always drives me. Yeah, but what if it gets to a penny? It's like you don't understand how much money that is. It's just crazy.
I had some home improvement stuff that I was going to do, and I could have used cash in the bank. I could have sold crypto. I took a loan to use that money. And then when we went to the dip, I used some of that money. Money's fungible, but I ended up making some heavy bets into the crypto market. We got Aave. We're up like 2.5x on that. We got some of that Bitcoin under 80K. And so if you're following this channel, we'll tell you what we're doing, folks. We'll tell you, let's all get rich together. All right.
Yeah.
And you might get rich with ETH.
Real quick, the important question that the chat is debating: who's better at Magic, you or BJ?
He would say it all day.
That's what I thought.
He said that several times.
That's what I thought. Because you were more of the player. He's obviously very involved with the community. He did a lot of their streams and technical
He watched me to learn.
Yeah.
And I watched him. BJ is a very good control player. And I would argue, probably a better blue player than me. And some would say, well, that means he's a better player, but I'm a well-rounded player with combo and aggro, etc.
There you go.
Yeah, BJ's he's the blue mage maestro. I do not mean to diminish BJ's magic skills. He had a great stream too. I'd watch his streams.
Yeah, and people don't even know one of the guys that was working here off camera for us for a long time was probably he was better than both of you guys, right?
Jeremy smoked both of us.
Yeah, one of the best tournament players in the world at one point.
US, he was #1 by many metrics in America, and some would say amongst the best in the world.
We attract the magic nerds.
There's 300 million people in America. He's like, yeah, I did better than all of them.
Yeah,
I know not all are playing Magic, but that's still pretty cool. Yeah, shout out to Jeremy Bertaglioni. I think
I actually talked to him on the phone the other day. He's getting ready to go play a Star Wars tournament in Vegas.
I put him on to Sneck and Cardano during bear market.
Yeah, and also now him and Zan top Lorcana players. So there you go.
Yeah, now he plays a children's cardboard game with Mickey Mouse instead of wizards throwing lightning bolt.
All right, back to ETH.
SXT. I thought you meant stacks for a second.
SXT. He might mean synthetics. Is that synthetics?
Synthetics.
Could be.
Is it synthetic?
It could be. Maybe I could be wrong. SXT. Space and time.
Oh, see, there we go again.
Yeah.
Let's just check the market cap. Oh, that's actually a decent sized market cap. Fully diluted, it's 427 million. Okay, so a little bit larger project than I initially would have guessed there. I like a rounded curve bottom, but it's so new. You don't know what's going on here with this one. So that's one, just follow this one. I would recommend watch the whale wallets. And that's just good advice in general when you have something that's very, very high, fully diluted value. Is it like a TIA where the whales are dumping on you? Or is it like, what's a good example of whales aren't dumping as hard?
Well, SHIB at one point. SHIB was one of those ones where it was highly controlled by whale wallets, and that's part of why it was successful because they never sold.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first one that comes to my mind.
There you go. Part of that was half the supply was in Vitalik's wallet, and he just as soon as he made a movement, it was going to dump. He gave it a charity though for tsunami in India, I believe. All right, let's talk about ETH here. ETH currently outperforming Bitcoin in Q3. Are we getting an alt season? Love this. So I don't know if this will show both. Yes, it does. Bitcoin only up 13%, ETH up 21%. I would say last time we saw ETH outperforming Q3, looks like it was 22, not the best time. But if we go to the halving year, 2020, it was up 60%, while Bitcoin was only up 17%. And then underperforming Q4, overperformed Q1. So I would say it looks most like this maybe 12-month period, halfway through 2020, halfway through 2021. Pretty good time to be in altcoins. That's all I'm going to say, folks, if you got in around that time. Speaking of ETH, Bitmine now holds $500 million worth of ETH to advance their ETH treasury strategy. Their ticker is BMNR. What does Wall Street think about this news? What does the whales think? What does BlackRock think? Look at that, TJ. 37%. Let me hit refresh. Okay, it's pulled back. It is pulled back. It actually looks worse if you do 5 day. No. Oh, okay. So one of those, I don't want to say suspicious, but it's very small unknown companies that talks to a crypto bro and it's give me some equity and we'll turn you into a blah 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 treasury strategy, and then maybe the thing starts pumping. SharpLink, maybe can kind of fall in that one. They just bought $50 million worth. And then you have, we'll go back to ETH in a second, Sonnet forming $888 million hype treasury. And then if you look, it's all about hype whales and stuff in the background. So I'm not sure how I feel about the altcoin ones. What are your thoughts here? Because a lot of times they're just raising debt and you're like, well, their balance sheet didn't really increase much, I guess.
Yeah, it's a different, it's hard to grade them all the same because they're also very different. Like you just said, there's a difference between somebody who's trying to pump up their stock price and somebody who's really implementing a micro strategy type playbook. A lot of and you're going to see this with Bitcoin companies and altcoin companies, and they're not all the same. So don't just go aping into them. Now, that being said, you might be in a euphoric type state where all of them pump regardless of the fundamentals. So there's, the other side of that coin. That being said, When it comes to treasury plays on company stocks, makes sense that ETH would do it. You know, it's basically going to be what funds a lot of what the finance institutions are doing. Bitcoin is the one that's the most interesting to me, and it's really, I'm not looking much further than maybe MicroStrategy and 21 Capital. Even MetaPlanet is a little bit outside of probably where I would go. Maybe MetaPlanet, but realistically, I think that's gonna it's gonna be MicroStrategy has such a huge lead, and 21 Capital as well is set up extremely well with Tether and their regulatory framework. So they've got actually new cash flow coming. They've got a different business model that really supports what they're doing. So if I'm doing those are the two treasury companies I buy. I love the fact that Tom Lee's out there pushing an ETH treasury. I love the fact that Joseph Lubin's out there doing these sorts of things. I do think it's great for the asset. I think it's great for Ethereum. I think new money flows in. What they're doing is unlocking levers for new capital to flow into these assets. Huge fan of it. That doesn't mean I'm running out to buy those stocks. I probably would not buy stocks in altcoin related companies, not because I'm bearish on it. It's just because I'd rather be in the native asset. And I think, you know, with Bitcoin, it makes a little bit more sense. Basically, what you're doing is you're saying, I believe Michael Saylor has tools that to acquire Bitcoin faster than I do personally. So I'm going to give him some of my money. That way he can do it on my behalf and I will reap the reward. I'm not doing that with altcoins personally.
Yeah, I would do the same. DZ reminds me of Hulk Hogan.
What?
I do not sit on a recliner while someone's with my no. Come in with a blonde,
one day.
I'm reversing the roles there. It was the other guy who was in the closet. Weird story, that whole thing. There was something I was wondering. Oh yeah, Aaron. I don't know if you can hook up pre-rich and maybe film a mod. I think that's a good idea. Steve was throwing out that suggestion. He's asked a couple times. So yeah, he's a good one out there.
I can do it.
All right, cool. All right, let's talk about ETH here. How about $1.5 million ETH?
That sounds this is incredible.
Woo, that sounds good. EMJ Capital founder says Eric Jackson, he was the missing Jackson 5 brothers, Jackson 6. He said approved Ether staking ETFs could kick off a rally that has ETH doing 100x and maybe even hit $1.5 million a token. And so its next gain could catch everyone off guard, according to Eric here. He said the potential approval of the ETFs that feature staking and the use of the blockchain by large financial companies could be catalysts for a 10x move in the cards over the coming years, meaning its value is going to do a 10x. The real catalyst still ahead, staking approval expected by October. Once ETH becomes a productive staked asset within the ETF wrapper, it's no longer just digital oil, institutional grade yield product. I've talked about this since BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF approval in January 2024. So we've been talking about this for a year and a half. Once ETH staking goes live, Wall Street's going to look at that as a dividend yield. They're just going to look at a very productive crypto ETF with yield. I like that Bitcoin one, but let's diversify a little bit into the other one that has yield. And I think yield is going to be very, very attractive for Wall Street here.
Agreed.
And if you look at the bridge flows, this might be telling the story here. ETH has been crushing this, according to Artemis. I don't have a time. Okay, it looks like maybe a week here, but BNB is up. And then after that, folks, it is pretty, it's pretty neutral until you get to Arbitrum, Unichain, and Base. Fleeing ecosystems here. Fleeing. Does this make you bearish on anything?
No, not really. I mean, that's a short.
A
lot of these flows, you know, you have to kind of look at longer time frames, in my opinion, on some of this stuff. Like again, Base, Arbitrum, Unichain, that's all Ethereum layer 2s. You know, so when you see something flowing out of an ETH layer 2 back into ETH mainnet, like that's good for Ethereum, but it's really not leaving the Ethereum ecosystem. So, yeah, I think I'm not too bearish on any of that stuff. Those flows, they're helpful, but they're not. I don't usually make investing decisions based on the flows. It's just interesting to keep an eye on, to me, to see kind of where things are flowing to over time. But massive amounts flowing into Ethereum.
That's nuts. Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, ETF inflows also. I mean, it's crazy. So.
I'll tell you who's going to lose next. The 5 blockchains Tether has cut ties with. They're no longer supporting Omni, Bitcoin Cash, Kusama, EOS, and Algorand. Yeah, Algorand pumped today though, right?
It pumped on the weekend, and apparently
EOS did too. I think
I heard this was announced a while back, and so it kind of got priced into the Algorand stuff. I can't verify that, but that's just what somebody told me. The rest of those, I'm not too surprising. Kusama, EOS, a lot of those, but that's basically Tether coming out and saying these are dead chains. We shouldn't support these. I don't know if Algo has USDC support, but without, and this is something a lot of people talk about with these stable coins, they have a ton of power, obviously. And without having either
That's
USDC,
what Charles talks about all the time.
yeah, if you don't have one of those two chains on there, you're isolated from a lot of liquidity. But once you do, you're kind of beholden to a lot of their decision making, whether it the fork lives or dies. So I'm sure people in the algo community will say it's no big deal. But to me, I don't want to be, and this is Cardano is in this boat too. I do hold a lot of Cardano, and they don't have support by USDT or USDC. I do think if they could get some serious stable coin action going, and that's what.
Do you think RLUSD can play that role?
Potentially, it could. It could
seems to be the direction they're heading in.
Yeah, any stable coin with a lot of money behind it would help the Cardano ecosystem, and that would be, I would say, a good value add for both XRP and Cardano if they did.
Algo's up in the 24-hour. You're wrong that it's going to be bad in the long term. This is people shorting that news and then just getting wrecked.
Yeah.
So I think 12 months from now, you're going to be bleeding against Bitcoin. Maybe it's 18-month timeline, but let's give a quick shout out to Tim. We're talking about, I don't know if he has his last name out there, but we're talking about CryptoTim here. Investing Bros threw out a little Cardano breakout action. He got featured in Coin Edition. So I just want to give a shout out to the Investing Bros. Great channel. They got a lot of alpha out there, a lot of content. So make sure you're following them if you're not. And this is the measure he was looking at. I got a little more conservative target. There are wedges. So when you hit the top and the bottom of a wedge, it gives you a nice just determination for a future breakout. And it says short-term price action gives us $1.50 Cardano. And so that might be, I haven't done this yet. I was just curious. Wait a minute. Did we got something brewing here?
Ooh, look at that.
Ooh, that might not be high enough. Might not be high enough. I don't know. Keep an eye out on this trend line. You heard it here first from DZ. And XRP on-chain metric shows no signs of capitulation. And I just want to give a shout out to the XRP community here. They've gone from optimism/anxiety into belief denial. This is a zone that often signals more room for the upside, according to the Newpol. We haven't talked about the Newpol in a while. It's a net unrealized profit and losses, kind of just measures people are up or down on the coin.
Great chart, by the way.
Yeah. And so past cycles, XRP entered euphoria greed zone before sharp price corrections. And so we still got a lot of room, in my opinion, to go here. So price high right there.
Well, that's on XRP. I've never looked at the coin specific Newpol.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, man. We did do a little double top feature right there in 2021.
So the greens euphoria,
almost like bearish here.
Yeah, this is saying it's getting close to euphoria.
Yeah, it says signals more room for the upside. I guess they're talking a very, very short time frame here.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, okay. Because it dipped in. That's why they're being a little, I don't want to say shady here. Barely dipped into the yellow and went back into the green. And so that's why they're saying it's that metric. I don't know though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's set up well. Technically, once it gets above $3, it'll be back into price discovery, and
it looks great against Bitcoin compared to most coins.
Yeah, it's been doing well ever since election. XRP, Cardano, both have been performing extremely well. So
don't worry about that dip there.
If they did, they still need something to happen because there's really not a lot of pressure, buying pressure on the token. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, there's a lot of altcoins that look a lot worse than that. That's for sure. That's kind of just ranging within a range there. So, all right, well, folks, that is the show for today. Smash that like button on the way out. We do appreciate all the love that we get from the Disco fam. I'm gonna go work on a Bitcoin video. That's not so much going to be price. Should I front run should I tease it?
Sure.
Let's tease it. All right. So here's what I notice in the charts, and I need to do the math. I need to do the analysis here. Bitcoin kind of does the same thing every time. It consolidates and then it has a breakout. It consolidates and has a breakout. It consolidates, it has a breakout. I want to do short-term breakouts. What is our timeline here? And so you can see here, this was, limited amount of time. Me and TJ did a little analysis. Let's just say plus or minus, it's around the 50-day range. So I'm going to look at the previous pumps, the previous breakouts, maybe get the average, and then give ourselves I don't want to say exit ramp, but maybe a nice area to lock in some profits.
There you
That's
go.
what we're going to say, folks. So that's all we got for today. I appreciate the whole Disco fam.
Come hang out with
Have
us
a
in
good
the
one.
Discord. Links in the chat and description.